clashes have erupted across the West Bank.
Oh my God.
As Palestinians protest against U.S. President Trump's recognition of the disputed city of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. The powerful Islamist group Hamas has called for a new uprising against Israel. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has urged protesters to stage peaceful rallies. But some have started throwing rocks at Israeli soldiers. Emergency services say at least 30 people have already been wounded in the clashes, some hit by live bullets. More troops are being deployed across the West Bank ahead of what Hamas warns will be a day of rage this Friday.
إننا نطالب وندعو وسنعمل على إطلاق انتفاضة في وجه الاحتلال الصهيوني.
The biggest and most important possible response is a new Palestinian intifada, an Islamic summit that decides that Jerusalem is an eternal and non-negotiable capital of Palestine, and the unity behind the choice of resistance and providing full support for this choice. This is what the American and Israeli should see.
The Israeli army targeted 2 Hamas military facilities in the Gaza Strip after 3 rockets were fired from the Gaza Strip towards Israel on Thursday evening. 1 rocket exploded in an open field in southern Israel, 2 others fell short. Al-Qaeda affiliate Tawhid al-Jihad took responsibility for the launch.
The United Nations Security Council are to meet on Friday to discuss US President Donald Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. The request was made by 8 states in the 15-member body after Trump abruptly reversed decades of US policy on Wednesday.
Well, shockwaves from President Trump's decision to officially recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital are being felt all over the world. Yet Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is confident that in light of Trump's promise to move the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem, many more countries are sure to follow. The Czech Republic has just announced official recognition of pre-1967 West Jerusalem as Israel's capital. And word is that the Philippines may be considering following Trump's lead and move its embassy to Jerusalem as well.
So some controversy today from Pope Francis that has people sort of turning their heads a little bit on this one. The leader of the Catholic Church suggesting that the Lord's Prayer, the best known prayer in Christianity, which is prayed by not thousands, as I said earlier, but 2.2 billion people around the world, may undergo a little bit of an edit. He says the phrase, "lead us not into temptation," suggests that God induces temptation in his followers, and "do not let us fall into temptation" would be more acceptable and closer to the original meaning of the prayers.
History in the making.
I declare the question resolved in the affirmative. That's it.
It took longer than expected, but Parliament fulfilled its promise to the people and finally made marriage equal.
What a day! What a day for love, for equality, for respect. Australia has done it.
The only doubt was when, not if. The bill's fate was sealed by the overwhelming turnout and yes vote in the postal survey.
It is now a time to heal, a time to build, a time to laugh, a time to embrace, a time to love, and now at last, a time for marriage equality.
The New York Times said there have been 22 previous attempts to legalize same-sex marriage since 2004, but all were derailed in Parliament. Opponents of the new bill raised concerns that ministers would be required to oversee same-sex weddings, even if they don't agree with them, and that similar-minded religious groups would lose their charity status. But President Malcolm Turnbull said that won't be the case. Same-sex couples will be able to marry starting January 9th, 2018.
A gay man who was denied a marriage license by Kentucky clerk Kim Davis is seeking to replace her. David Ermold announced his candidacy for Rowan County Clerk Wednesday. Ermold and several other gay men applied for marriage licenses in 2015. Citing her Christian faith, Davis said she couldn't in good conscience issue the licenses because she believes same-sex marriage is wrong. She spent 5 days in jail for her stand. Davis said she plans to run for re-election in 2018. Several other candidates are also planning to run against her.
How about this? Resistance 101? Professors at Kutztown University in Pennsylvania are now offering extra credit to students who protest President Trump's tax plan. Extra credit.
There you go. This is just more proof of conservative, bias against conservatives on college campuses.
Brits living under the fear of terrorist attacks may very well fear being called racist even more. See why you have to be very careful what you say in the UK.
The British Parliament went into emergency session, urging Prime Minister Theresa May to cancel President Trump's planned visit to Britain next year. One MP even said the American president should be arrested if he sets foot on British soil. You might have thought Donald Trump ordered the sinking of a British battleship or insulted the Queen. What Trump did was retweet videos of alleged Muslim violence from a British fringe anti-Islamization group that the British establishment detests. While many considered the president's tweets a bad idea, especially since the factualness of one of the videos has been disputed, the whole episode showed again that the British establishment is obsessed with so-called hate speech, even more, some say, than the threat of terrorism. One response to Muslim radicalism in Britain has been to attack the critics, as if criticism of the problem is as bad or worse than the problem itself. 3,400 Britons were arrested last year for online hate speech. That usually means people who criticize Islam. Almost 10 times the number arrested for terrorism-related offenses. While British police have had to let suspects of other crimes go because of cutbacks. At the root of it all, say officials we interviewed, is the belief that criticism of Islam is a terrible thing. It's called racism, even though Islam is not a race.
Racism is the kind of 21st century equivalent of being accused of witchcraft in the 17th century. You're guilty until you're proved innocent. And of course, the process of proving innocent may well destroy you anyway.
Gerard Batten is a member of the European Parliament for UKIP, the UK Independence Party.
But you see, our political establishment is terrified of being called racist or Islamophobe because it's one of the worst things you can be accused of. Because once you've been labelled that and it sticks, that's the end of your career. You're not going anywhere.
The same British government that has devoted more money and manpower to stamp out criticism of Islam online dragged its feet when investigating a huge rape gang scandal involving mostly Pakistani heritage men who preyed on as many as 1 million mostly white English girls. The same government continues to allow the existence of Sharia courts and has hosted radical Islamic events on government property. We filmed this Palestine conference, which included known anti-Semites and terrorism supporters, at the government-owned QE2 Center, the same venue where a Christian conference on traditional marriage was banned. The British government seems almost obsessed with what it calls social cohesion. Think of it as government-enforced social harmony, backed up by the police. It's an attempt to keep a lid on boiling social tensions. But the social tensions are still there. And that means when it comes to criticism of Islam, or even the superiority of British values, free speech in Britain is gone.
If anybody was to talk about the superiority of British values over other people's values, they'd probably find themselves arrested and on a charge of racism or Islamophobia. And I'm not kidding. You have to be very careful what you say in Britain today.
A survey in 24 countries has found that nearly half of humans believe in alien life and want to make contact. Researchers said the finding helps to explain the lasting popularity of the Star Wars franchise 40 years after the first movie was screened. Researchers published findings that 47% of more than 26,000 respondents believe, quote, in the existence of intelligent alien civilizations in the universe, end quote. It was published on the eve of the release of The Last Jedi. An even greater 61% said yes when asked if they believe in some form of life on other planets.
Ambassador to the United States Nikki Haley seemed to suggest Thursday the U.S. might not compete in the 2018 Winter Olympics in South Korea, calling the matter an open question. Haley's comments come as tensions rise with North Korea. In late November, the country launched a ballistic missile it claims is capable of striking the whole U.S. mainland. North Korea also suggested war was unavoidable. Its state news agency said the remaining question now is when will the war break out. But Press Secretary Sarah Sanders tweeted Thursday, the U.S. looks forward to participating in the Winter Olympics in South Korea. The protection of Americans is our top priority, and we are engaged with the South Koreans and other partner nations to secure the venues. Along that same vein, Olympic Committee spokesman Mark Jones said, we have not had any discussions either internally or with our government partners about the possibility of not taking teams to the games. To be fair, Haley also said, we will make sure that we're taking every precaution possible to make sure that the athletes are safe and to know everything that's going on around them. The 2018 Games will be about 50 miles away from the fortified border with North Korea.
Now, North Korea reportedly wants to talk with the United States to guarantee its security. This was the clear message relayed on Thursday by Russia's foreign minister to his U.S. counterpart, Rex Tillerson. Park Jung-hong with the details.
While North Korea is talking tough about a war with the U.S., it is apparently looking forward to dialogue with Washington. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says North Korea wants to sit down with the U.S. to seek guarantees on its security. He was quoted by several sources as passing on that message to U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson in Vienna on Thursday. The two met on the sidelines of a ministerial conference of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. Lavrov said Russia is ready to support North Korea's dialogue with the U.S., adding that it's willing to help facilitate such negotiations. Meanwhile, Russia's foreign ministry said Tillerson and Lavrov agreed that Pyongyang must thoroughly abide by the UN Security Council resolutions. This comes after North Korea blasted the U.S. on Thursday for the large-scale combat drills taking place over the peninsula, saying the exercises are, quote, confrontational warmongering that makes a war inevitable. On its state-run news channel, North Korea added that, quote, it does not wish for a war, but it will not hide from it. Responding to the tension, China's foreign ministry spokesman urged all parties to stay calm and to refrain from provoking each other. He said a war would benefit neither side and would threaten the lives of many people. Against this backdrop, China has sent a special envoy to the U.S. to discuss North Korea-related issues.
On Thursday, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said that the United States would badly like to lift sanctions against Russia. However, Moscow's military presence in eastern Ukraine and Crimea remain the main obstacle to renewing normal ties. While speaking at a meeting of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, Tillerson blamed Moscow for increased violence in eastern Ukraine and said that it had to stop. Tillerson said, we've made this clear to Russia from the very beginning that we must address Ukraine. It stands as the single most difficult obstacle to us renormalizing the relationship with Russia, which we badly would like to do. On Thursday, the Met Office warned that Storm Caroline, currently sweeping across the UK's northernmost regions, could pose a danger to life as it issued an amber alert for the Scottish regions of Grampian, Highlands, and Island Sea, as well as the Orkney and Shetland archipelagos. According to a statement from the Met Office, Storm Caroline is expected to bring a spell of very windy weather to northern Scotland. Gusts of 70 to 80 miles per hour are expected widely, with gusts to 90 miles per hour possible in exposed areas. Flying debris is likely and could lead to injuries or danger to life. Some damage to buildings is possible, such as tiles blowing off roofs.
The wind and wildfire danger in California has hit an unprecedented high. The state has a color-coded system showing how strong the winds are expected to be to fuel the region's powerful wildfires. That system has pushed into never-before-seen territory into purple, which means extreme. The state's fire director says it means winds could reach hurricane strength at 80 miles per hour. 90,000 acres burned in Ventura. People returned to their neighborhoods to discover their houses are nothing but rubble.
I'm grateful we have our home, but I'm very sad for my neighbors and the way my neighbors look, and it's just horrible.
Authorities ordered tens of thousands of people to evacuate because of the 3 major wildfires burning in Los Angeles and Ventura counties. They've destroyed nearly 200 homes and buildings.
How you doing today, sir? Sir. How you doing? Right. You want for your friend? Uh-huh. There you go. You want some socks or a hat? Hey, you need a hat or socks? There you go. A couple pair of socks and a couple of skull caps. God bless you, man. Uh-huh. Oh yeah, I've eaten off this truck. I've seen this truck a lot of days. I've seen this truck. I've never was one of the people to wait on it every day, but if I see it, I'd certainly go over and get me a hot chocolate, see what they had to eat. You know, some of those days I was really hungry. And this truck saved my day. Saved my day. I never thought I'd be working on the truck or serving off this truck. But this truck is a blessing to so many people, you know. And I know it's needed because a lot of these people that we serve are here every single day waiting on soup and a couple of sandwiches and a snack or a cold drink on a hot day or a hot drink on a cold day.
I go there every day. Today I got soup, yogurt, and the sandwiches and hot chocolates. I'm living on absolutely nothing. I collect empty bottles and hustle and do whatever I can. So I got some stores that let me clean their parking lot and stuff like that.
I'm grateful to God, for one, for changing my life. You know, where I can make a difference in someone else's life. You know, and some of the people that I serve, I know, and I've been out there with them. So it's a statement that recovery is possible, change is possible. You know, how did I do it? I did it through God. You know, God came into my life and changed my life.